Well, thank you everyone for joining us today and being here today. We are really excited. I'm really excited about this talk. Um, so I see there are a lot of familiar names, some new names as well, and welcome everyone who's new here. I'm going to do a little bit of presentation and introduction about WorldTeams, what we do, who is Sam, this person who is here with us, joining us. So basically, we are WorldTeams. Hello, everybody. I'm Malena. I'm part of the marketing team here. WorldTeams is basically an outsourcing company, and we help companies build their dream team and their dream international team in order to help you success and scale your company and your business. Every month, we do structures of success webinars, which we started, I believe, around a year ago, maybe a little bit more. And we try to have hosts, speakers, just to have like a really nice moment to talk and maybe, I don't know, get like distracted from like the day-to-day tasks and all of that. um, right now, August 19th was International Photography Day, so we thought doing something related to photography. I've always seen photography as something really cool, like a way of art, really fancy black and white pictures hanging on the walls or like in like museums, whatever. But I recently discovered that it's actually more than that, a lot more than that, and a really good way to help companies, businesses. It really doesn't matter what type of industry you're in. Sam's going to tell a little bit more about that. And so we thought of Sam, who is one of our clients, really valuable, really important for us. Diego, his account manager, introduced us. So it was a really good way to like bring him in and have him just telling us about this industry, what it means to him and his work. Of course, he's a photographer and videographer from LA, uh, and he's photographer and director at Sam Grand Photo. So I could introduce Sam to everyone, but honestly, I don't want to miss anything. There's like a list of awards and a lot of experience that he has. So, Sam, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, your experience, your awards. And also, I like to add a little icebreaker. So, if you want to tell us what would you be doing if you weren't a photographer, that would be great.
Okay, that sounds good. Hi, everybody. So I'll actually just start off by saying how awesome WorldTeams is. I've been using them for, I don't think it's been quite a year yet, but it's been a while. And I actually have an executive assistant from them, and they are great. I don't know if Genesis is in here, but shout out to Genesis. She's awesome. But Diego's also been great. Diego's been sort of my main point of contact, and he always whenever I need somebody or I need some recommendations, he's on it. So for all my friends that are watching, if you ever need any help on a freelance basis, WorldTeams is amazing. So now that I got that out of the way, it's funny that you asked what I would do if I wasn't a photographer, and I'm not trying to kiss anybody's ass, but I would be an architect. I love
Great.
architecture. I always thought architecture it's graphic design made into 3D. You know what I mean? It's like as if you made some kind of logo on your computer, and then in 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, 3 months, it's out in the real world for people to interact with. So I always loved architecture. But I stuck with photography. I've been doing it for, since college. I graduated for it. Quick little history on me. I was born in Brazil. I don't know if there's any brasileiros aí, mas oi, tudo bem? And when I was 12, I moved to Canada with my family. I did high school and college, university there. And then I actually went to Australia for 4 years, lived on the beach, played in a band, did photography. And then I went to Chicago, and then I came to LA. So I've been in LA 7 years now. I did 1 year in Chicago. And I have been very, very lucky and fortunate to be able to do this as a career forever. I have just been a photographer and videographer for the entire time. And it took a lot of hard work and it took a few lucky breaks, but with the lucky breaks, I made the most out of that opportunity, which is very important. Like a lucky break is not enough, and that goes for anybody. So I got a really lucky break when I was in Australia and I capitalized on it and I moved to Chicago and I did 1 year there. I spent one winter there and I was like, nope. So I went to LA and now I've been in LA for 7 years and I love it. LA is crazy. I don't know how many of you guys have been over here. It's nuts. It's dirty. It's filthy, but I love it. There's so much going on. Anything that you love, you can get into. It doesn't matter what it is. And if you want to be a professional clown, you can go to clown school here and be a professional clown. There's just so much, and you can do here, and you can be anything here, really. So in my journey, I have earned a few awards. A lot of them actually have been for celebrity stuff. I photographed a really famous stylist, and then I did musicians, and then I think we have one in the slide here. If we go to
Yeah,
the next
right
one, so this one here, I don't know if any of you guys like rock music, but that's Matt Bellamy from Muse. I did a project with them for Jim Beam, actually. Very cool project. And he was such a cool guy that he actually posted this. That's an actual screenshot from his Instagram. He posted my picture on his Instagram and congratulated me, which I thought was, yeah, so cool. He was awesome. And that was a really neat project which we could dive into. I think the WorldTeams team pulled a few screenshots from my work there, but that was published in Rolling Stone and everything. So that was pretty cool. And then another award I won, I think, is the next one. That was the most recent. So this was in the travel category, and this was a amazing project I did in India. I basically was sent to India and essentially just given, it was for John Deere, uh, which is like a big tractor manufacturing company in America. And I thought it was going to be big American trucks and yeah, America, but it was none of that. There was no John Deere inside. They actually build schools there to teach farmers how to farm. So there are no John Deere logos, nothing. They just basically sent me out with a camera and a translator into these villages and just let me roam around. So we can look at that too if we want to, but it's all on my website. That one's under India, John Deere. And I spent about a week there just running around taking pictures of people. So this one won an award for that. But that's now I'm in LA and I actually started doing video. I started with just photography and now I've been doing video, and video's actually almost become more than half of my work. I would almost say that 60% of my work now is video. And that is all to say how important content is, no matter what it is. So and how it's two-sided now. One, like I go on shoots now and I do both photo and video in one shoot, you know, and it's actually something that I feel like people appreciate, because once I started doing the video and I realized the importance of that as well, it's like just to do photo or just to do video doesn't make sense. If you're spending the money and you're getting people together and people, or you're booking people, people are flying in, if they're from out of town, they're taking time off their calendar. It's silly not to also capture both.
now.
So I think that's very important.
So, Sam, now that you're talking about photo, you're talking about video, what does it mean to you? And like, how do you feel this can help telling a story?
Yeah, that's very I mean that's very important. Like I don't think any of you, it's almost, story is important, but it's also about visibility too. You know what I mean? Story, and that's where content is interesting, because it leans to so many different things. It could just be visibility, or it could be a thoughtful piece about story, or it could be a funny piece about TikTok that just sort of breaks the ice. You know what I mean? But I guarantee there's not a single person in here that has gone to a new restaurant without looking at their Instagram first.
Oh
Why?
yeah.
Because you want to, that's how you vet. that's how you see if it's good. Or obviously, if it's a small time restaurant, you might not, take it too seriously. But if you're going to go to a nice fancy restaurant, you're probably going to look at their Instagram, and that lends itself to sort of anything: food,
Mhm.
music, architecture. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're gonna, I was looking for an apartment the other day, and it was nice to see a video, a nice, cool little trailer. It's nice to see a little walkthrough. All of those little pieces matter. Like a band. I just had a meeting with somebody from a record label, and they're judged bands by the followers that they have. And that's not to say that it's all about social media, but it's all connected because you need to have good online presence with content in order for people to see it and digest it, to the point where, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but there's a lot of bands, and I work with a lot of music artists. That's why I kind of talk a lot about bands, but they're doing like skits now. They're doing mini skits, comedy skits, where they're making jokes and they're laughing, and it's something not related to music at all, but it's just funny that people watch and they share. So it's important. I mean, it's like it's that saying, did it happen? Well, is there a picture? Like, if there's no picture, it didn't happen, right? So it's important to take pictures, to take videos, to make content so people can share, so people can watch, so people can see who you are, what you do, how you are, how you do things. All of that, I think, is very, very important nowadays, more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna stop sharing screen because I want people to like see you talk and see your face, and
Sure.
we can go back to that when we show the rest of the pictures and the awesome video that you made. Um, but like this is a good approach that you're mentioning and saying, because when we were thinking about this webinar and organizing all the content with you and everything, I kind of mentioned photography as a commercial tool, right? So you work with different clients as Starbucks, Gene Bean, musicians, all of that. Um, how do you do that commercial approach? Like, would you say photography is like an investment? Is it an expense? Because sometimes it's hard to actually see that we have to invest on that instead of like investing on our team, people, softwares. It's just something like really, really important that we don't really pay a lot of attention to.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I almost feel like it's not that people don't think it's an investment. I think every single person nowadays knows that it's an investment.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, everybody's on social media. They know it's an investment. It's just whether they think it's worth it. And that's where it can be a little bit tough, because it's hard to measure and it takes a while. So, no company is going to hire me and make one video and all of a sudden be millionaires. Do you know what I mean? It's an entire process of trial and error. I mean, I even talked to some social media managers that they will make 10, and all your social media people here will know that you'll make 10 versions of a video, put them all out, and the ones that are good, those are the ones that you double. So just that process took 10 different edits of a video. So it just goes to show that it's an investment for sure, and people recognize that, but a lot of people don't are afraid to dive into it because it's also sometimes not it's not cheap sometimes, and it feels daunting. Like, it feels like it's so big
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many different things you can do. Like, where do you start? Am I doing Instagram videos? Am I going to do a story piece on the CEO's history and how they came up with this company? Am I just going to do a photo shoot of everybody? Am I just going to do LinkedIn headshots and update everybody's headshots? It's literally endless. So I think maybe it's almost, when trying to, I guess, sell that to people or make people understand, it's almost like they have to sort of, they already understand that it's important, and they need to know sort of the different pieces that they could use and capitalize on.
Mm-hmm. And now that you say that, where would you recommend to start? I don't know, Instagram,
That
social media,
great question.
portfolio.
I think photos. I mean, photos on Instagram. That's probably the very first. Uh, we call it low hanging fruit, like the easiest fruit to pick. So that would be photos for Instagram. You can spend a day and you can probably get about 20 to 50 images that you can
Mhm.
use across all social media, LinkedIn, Instagram. Even TikTok, you can do like videos with pictures now. So that's probably the first one. After that, people want to see videos. I think videos are very, very important. They're a little bit different. They also don't have to be Hollywood productions. And this is actually one of the takeaways that I have three takeaways from today that I don't know if we're going to cover as I talk, but if I don't, I'll bring them up. But one of them is that not all content needs to be perfect. So with photos, maybe you want it a little bit polished. Like an iPhone photo might not necessarily be as good as a professional picture. However, with video, it's a different story. With video, you can just point an iPhone at something, and that's a piece of content that can get you somewhere. I have spent hours, days making stuff that I'm super proud of that nobody watched. And then I'll make a little iPhone video of me sitting on my desk typing and it'll blow up. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's important to know, is that you can start with pictures, and then you can, just even from, let's say you do a session of pictures right there. If you have a person that does the marketing on your team, have them just walk around with the phone and just get behind the scenes. All of a sudden you got video content as well. So then
Hmm.
after that, when it's time to really make an investment, like, I think the story stuff is good. Like, let's say you have, it's a CEO that's gone through a lot, or it's been a passionate project for the CEO to get his company to life. Very important. You do an interview, you get to hear the story, and people connect with that as well. And then on simple terms, sometimes you just need to make a video on how to use something. If it's something that's so new that people don't even, you really just need to make like I had to shoot some medical instruments, and not to say that it's boring, but it's not very exciting, but you just
Right.
have to shoot them. Okay, this is the machine, this is where it goes, and this is how you do it. Once again, it doesn't have to be a Hollywood production. You might not even necessarily have to hire me. And this is, maybe shooting myself in the foot, but this is being honest. There's a time and place to hire somebody, there's a time and place to do something on your own with your team, and just you almost have fun with it, because content doesn't have to be perfect all the time.
Hmm. That's good that you say that, because we have a lot of clients and like different sizes, small, medium, big. And like what we were talking at the beginning, right? Sometimes you don't really think that it's like the right thing to do that investment, or maybe you don't even know if it's the right moment and you just want to push that back a little bit. Um, and it's good that you're actually saying like it doesn't have to be a Hollywood production. You can just walk around with your phone and you're gonna have a good material, like as a starting point, maybe, right? Um,
Absolutely.
so again, there's a lot of clients here today. Thank you for coming. But I want to do like a rundown maybe of like why do you think this is important for business? Like showing yourself, showing your work. Again, like everybody's gonna go through social media, maybe your portfolio first. What would be a good way? And like I know you're not an architectural photographer, you're more into like lifestyle, sports, concerts, live music. What would be your recommendation? What are the details that we have to pay attention to, even if it's architecture or any other industry?
Okay, well, we could actually let's just stick with architecture, okay?
All right.
Because I actually
You tell me
really,
when you want me to like show your the pictures and everything.
yeah, maybe we'll go in that in a second. Maybe I'll just kind of
All right.
give a little
Got
intro. So, um, it's true. I'm not, the Annie Leibovitz of architecture photography, but I doing this talk, when you guys approached me, I actually dug up some of my architecture stuff, and it actually was really fun to actually go back and see some of the stuff that I did and some of the pictures that I took that I actually really love. So architecture is, first of all, amazing. And second of all, there's so many different sides to it, you know, that you can show. I mean, right off the bat, there's like, I always say there's like, in architecture, there's like beauty and there's function. It's like you want to show the function of something in architecture, but you also want to show the beauty of it. Do you know what I mean? So just that in itself is like, I mean, let's take a house, for example. You want to show how beautiful it is and all the details and all the textures, but also you want to show, okay, how easy is it to get from the front door to the kitchen and the flow of it. Do you know what I mean? So right there's two pillars that you can sort of think about. You know what I mean? Like the beauty of it and the functionality of something. Also, with architecture, I mean, there's people behind it. There's the architects, and then beyond that, there's the builders, the people that make it. So right off the bat, there's like so many ideas of things that you can do, that you can feature. I mean, who is the architect? Like, get an interview. Let's get a video of him down at the property. What were some difficulties you had with this? What did you think that wasn't going to work that worked? All these things, and this is the second point that I was going to make, and it might actually fit here. Just because you wouldn't watch something doesn't mean that everybody else won't. So whenever you're thinking about content, if you're looking at it, it's like, I would never click on this. You are one person in however many billion people are in the world. So it took me a while to learn that, because I would be, it's like, oh, that's, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not really about what you feel or what you think is good or not. It's somebody else will appreciate it.
I like that.
Sam, so nice seeing you here. So one of the things that for me is always kind of a common, I wouldn't say mistake, but something that would definitely help um, in getting more customers and putting your work out there. And I see most of our clients, but also architects in general, don't do, is they will put their renderings from their projects to be somewhere, right? And then not like render versus reality. And I think like a lot of people, once the project is completed, that it takes a long time sometimes from like project to full completion, don't take the pictures, don't take the photos of the completed projects. And I mean, I understand that sometimes there's a disconnect. I understand that sometimes, like, I don't know, life happens. But I would like to ask some of the people here, like, who feels kind of like they're doing this. That sometimes you've actually made amazing projects and you haven't, like, on the moment that they were finished and clean and with like the right furniture on, like, not taking the pictures, and now you don't have real good documentation of those amazing projects that you did. Is this something that resonates with anyone? Like, I see that
One thumb up over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can jump in and just talk even for myself. Even as a photographer and videographer, there's some things that I haven't even put online yet that I'm guilty of that as well. So absolutely, I think that's across any sort of industry.
Yes. And like, and another thing that I think also,
Oh, we got a hand up.
I don't see happening a lot is like, now in content, it's people want to know the people, right? and and sometimes just you have one small black and white photo of who the architect is, and you need to browse through so much things that feel a little impersonal to actually get to the person, to the face, to maybe their person in their own habitat, in their own house, and the things that they've liked, right? and like the power of those portraits and those portraits within the situation, right? Like, um, I
Yeah,
think,
absolutely.
yeah.
It is important. Herm, we saw your hand up. If you want to share your experience, go ahead. He says, happens to
Okay,
my office
happens to
all the
his
Hey,
office
time.
all the time.
hi, good morning.
Hi.
Hey,
Let me turn on the video too. Give me 1 second. But yeah, I
yes,
think let's see if it's gonna work here.
there he is.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi. No, I think it was an extremely solid point that was brought up. It happens to my office and myself probably, I don't know, half a dozen times a year. So your point is very, very prudent and spot on that trying to get final imagery. I mean, I'm having a problem right now on 2 projects and I cannot get anything going because the client more or less is done. And then they're just, and we work on restaurants. So let me take a step back. And so it's kind of our primary focus as an architectural and design firm. And trying to get those final photos is almost impossible sometimes. So when you brought that up, I was trying to get my point in and trying to figure out Zoom at the same time. But yeah, it's you're 100% spot on. So just wanted to
Yeah,
interject with that.
yeah, great. Yeah, thanks for chiming in. I'm curious to if you had to think about why it's so hard. Do you think do you have a reason for why it's so hard to get those? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think it comes down to what the person feels is important, and then the time allotting the time to do it, and then in some cases even the cost. There may not even be any cost, right? We're trying to get some decent photos and just try to get them more or less documented. But yeah, I just don't think that most people think it's important, unfortunately. And to me, it's what you brought up, Sam, is it's as important as anything else is to document it and make it look, beautiful, and then you can use it for years to come, whether it's still photos like you said, or even I think these days, like you were saying, videos are just as important, if not more important. And it doesn't take much to do it, but trying to convince someone and take the time is not that easy.
Yeah, totally. Who do you think is the person that's the most hardest to convince? Is it like the main builder? Is it the actual just the client?
Yeah, I think in most cases, at least from my perspective, I work with the client, and so it's the client. I do have builders that I work with that like to document their work, so they'll do all kinds of interior shots, videos, drone shots, everything. But it ends up being more it's the client because they just want to get these things open and then get and move forward, and trying to just take an hour. I mean to come in early one morning and get someone over there, and it's almost impossible.
Yeah, it very, very interesting. Maybe that's something for us to think about on how to kind of overcome that hurdle on why the client, obviously the architecture firm here understands the importance of it. Why would the client, after spending so much money, not want a polished end result? So that's very interesting. Thanks for chiming in with that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
And I would say, Sam, because I see it happen all the time, it's like, it's just people are busy, right? So when you want to interject whatever, like that doesn't, it's not like, main business associated with, like, it will get delayed or postponed or not done, or right. And so I think it's just about being intentional about like the importance of it. So I think this webinar, just everyone that has come here, like the just taking the time to just put in perspective how important it is to have content right now, and to not like leave it for the last minute, and not have a plan to like, okay, now when this project is done, we need to get those pictures. So we'll send a reminder every day of the week if needed, but we'll get those. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I think it's almost like it's almost a bit of education. I think it's also the more you know about getting content. So let's say you're an architecture firm and you have a client and they're saying, oh, we don't have time, this and that. The more you know about what it takes to make this, the more you can tell them and be like, listen, we need 1 hour. We will come on Sunday at 10 a.m. for 1 hour and we will get it. So you can sort of maybe educate these tough clients that, you know, they're worried about being in the way and this, and it's a pain, and I gotta. So it's almost about telling them, yes, this is important, but it's also like we can work around people. We can. It doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be a Hollywood production with 10 people coming in with cameras. It can be 1 or 2 people coming in. You can. I mean, you can do a place in an hour, 2 hours. You can probably do photo and video. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a matter of reassuring a client that, listen, this has to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be quick. It's going to be painless. And let's just do it. And I think the sooner you start implementing that sort of mentality, I think maybe the better results we'll all get.
Totally.
Amazing. So now that we all know the importance, and now that we all know that we just need a phone, I want to know your tips, right? So I want to know, what do we have to pay attention to? What do we have to analyze on every space that we walk through, on every building that we stand in front of? I personally, like, I felt really attracted to the picture that you have of the Guggenheim Museum. What is it that you saw there that you were like, I need to take a picture of this? I need to tell people through a picture what this means to me.
Yes, I love that picture. We can actually probably flip to it, and maybe we can just kind of go through it.
Perfect.
Some stuff. Okay, we'll get to that, Matt. Let me see here. Matt raised an interesting point there. Residential projects are difficult as well. Often materials, landscaping, texture get cut out of the final build to save money, which leads to an unfinished looking photos. That's very interesting. That's actually something that I have never come across doing sort of my usual photography. So maybe, I don't know if you want to maybe just jump on and talk about that a little bit. I'd love to hear it.
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
There we go. What's up, Matt?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man.
Yeah, so a lot of the clients that I work for, they're sort of, low budget projects, residential projects, and the budget is more important than getting final photos or, adding these things that the clients might view as unnecessary into the scope of the project. So yeah, I've found it difficult to one, come up with the money to get professional photography done on our projects, and then two, like I mentioned, a lot of times they'll make material changes during construction because I can save $5,000 if I don't do the brick on the front, and let's cut out the landscaping because that's $20,000 and save ourselves the money. And so by the time the project is built and they're moving in, you might show up there and it's just dirt all everywhere around the front of the building and it really looks unfinished. So that's a challenge to get high quality photos.
That's interesting. So just educate me a little bit. So in that scenario, when they're cutting costs like that, so they'll just assume like, we'll leave dirt here and the client, when whoever moves in, will deal with it. Is that sort of the mentality?
Exactly. Yeah, the homeowners sometimes they'd rather just save the money and they'll do it themselves in 5 years or 10 years or whenever they get to it, type of thing.
Wow, very interesting. Okay, so I mean, listen, that's also a very important point that we maybe should touch on. We're not always going to be photographing or building the Guggenheim, right? So that's very important. There is obviously still things that you can do. I mean, if you wanted to, maybe you could even Photoshop grass. You can maybe make a mix because, in architecture, I know that a lot of pictures actually end up using CGI and stuff like that. So maybe that could be a mix. of both, or also just as a challenge, if you can find, you know, a good photographer, is to find some beauty in the rough a little bit. Sometimes you'd be surprised what somebody can actually find. Maybe it's not the yard, but maybe it's like a detail somewhere, or it's sort of a different angle. But that's a very interesting point. I've never heard of that. We got some more comments here. Recently not allow photographs for privacy reasons. I'm not going to push back on that. I did ask and get permission to model and render the project for marketing. Still, it was quite disappointing to not be allowed professional photos. That's a good one. That's a fair one. That's one that's also a little bit tough to navigate. A privacy issue is, you know, I mean, if somebody doesn't want their photo taken, it's really, I mean, I guess if they're on the street, you can take pictures of them. But if it's in their home, or if it's of their home, then maybe that one's, I don't know, maybe you can have to come to an agreement where it's like, okay, maybe let's just do the outside, or something like that.
Sam, can I also, Tim, like that? For me, when someone presents resistance into whatever, like you just kind of need to focus on, okay, what are like arguments that might change their mind, right? And one really strong one is that beautiful photos are amazing for people. Like, so maybe if, like, for example, you get a photographer, say like Sam, that has beautiful pictures, it's like, let me show you what we can get. And then you can have control over where we would publish this. Like, you know, like I would want to publish it like only with your approval in my website or whatever. You know, sometimes just like you ask why again, and then the person will just give you all the resistance, right? Like all the arguments of why not, and in for each why you have an answer, or something where they can feel that they're more in control. And most of the time when you do that, like, okay, but why? Oh, but why? Those barriers go down very easily, very easily. This is
I
coming
think
from
that
a person, right?
I think that was a good point. I think it's also about, there's a bit of, some people have a bit of a fear of, some people don't even like getting their picture taken. You know what I mean? So I think what you mentioned about, listen, we're only going to show, we're going to run everything by you first. Like, you get the final say on this. That might talk them a little bit off the ledge as well. So that was a good point. I'm going to move down to Nate here. The client may also not want you to publish final photos of the project. Probably needs to be a line item. I think Nate is touching on something important here that I think I mentioned as well, is that I think the sooner you have that conversation, the better, right? So it's like, if you have the conversation, is easier to have at the beginning of the project than at the end of the project when you have 10 minutes to take the picture. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's a great point. Not to push back and try to bargain. So we arrived at the rendering option. Okay, so I mean, that if somebody ultimately is going to say no matter what, and I guess push back, you know, you can have a counter argument without fighting back, I guess. But, you know, having a rendering, that's, I guess, the second best thing. But if you can try to, well, I mean, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, because it's one of those things that it's just like, I don't want to photograph anybody that doesn't want to be photographed. Like, period. You know what I mean? Like, usually if it's like I've done projects where I'll shoot a lot of employees, and some of them will come down with like long faces, and they're like, oh, my boss maybe. I'm like, okay, then it's okay. You don't have to be here. There's other people. It's okay. You can go. So I think there's some validity to not pushing back and leaving people be. But that's an interesting one. Thanks for bringing that one up.
Makes sense. But it's good to know that we have rendering as the second option, right?
Absolutely. I think that's, especially because rendering, I mean, in the photo world, the rendering, the retouching, the CGI stuff is maybe a little frowned upon. But I know that in architecture, in that world, in that space, rendering is sort of just a part of the business. So I think there's definitely more leniency there, where people won't be like, oh my God, this is a render. I hate this house, or I hate this building, or this restaurant looks stupid. You know what I mean? I think there's a little bit more leniency there. So that's good.
Good to know. All right. I'm insisting on moving on to these pictures. Sorry.
Yeah,
But
it's
I
okay.
love them. I really do. And like there's a lot more. When you sent me those, I was like really surprised. So I want to show these to the people, and so they can get to know you and your talent.
Sure.
Yeah, walk us through this amazing work.
Okay, well, I love that you love the Guggenheim picture. That was literally, I guess I was in New York maybe, God, it must have been almost 6-7 years ago. I didn't even go into the Guggenheim. I literally just walking Central Park, and I just crossed the street to go get this picture. But I mean, that picture right there, obviously it's black and white, it's film, it's light and shadow, which is big in architecture. That's something I always look at. But also, it's almost like sexy because it's got lines as well. Like it's got straight lines, but it's got curves. It's almost like, there's such an interesting, and there's humanity as well in it, because there's people. So, and that's actually something that is, I think, also important in architecture is, and this is talking as a lifestyle photographer, it's like the lifestyle side of these projects are important. Like let's say more, I'm thinking more in like the commercial sense. Maybe not so much residential, but you built a restaurant, and you want to show people interacting with the space, like walking in through the front doors. What's the first thing that they see? Like that, like let's see a person go in. What do they go to? It's like, that's lifestyle. That's like with humans and interaction. That's also very important. And I think we had one more comment there. When we have final photos, visualization of the project, we publish our renders, walk fly throughs. That okay, Herm, and okay, that sounds like a walk fly throughs with our team. Yeah, so I mean, you're doing at least the best you can, which I guess is sort of important. You want to, it's something that you don't want to just completely miss out on. You want to at least do the best you can.
But Herm, like in commercial, I understand like the resistance maybe in residential projects. Okay, maybe it's somebody's home, maybe you're talking to a very like private rich person, whatever, they don't want to show their home, although I do think that there are arguments to be made. But in commercial projects, there should be so many people interested in getting those photos, like everyone, right? Even for the people that are going to operate that restaurant, they'll need photos. Like I told you, we bought a restaurant that was already built in Lisbon, and the only way like we got it is because there were amazing photos of that restaurant, because they had published the project in this architectural award, and through the amazing photos we got to the restaurant and we bought it. So like I think if you plan ahead to get all like the stakeholders involved in this and point out the importance of those pictures, everyone should chip in.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about awards. I mean, in architecture, just like photography, I mean, of course, awards are important, and I don't think anybody can win an award without a picture, really. So that's important to think about too. But just kind of casually moving along, Eiffel Tower. Maybe we'll go back to the Eiffel Tower. Let me see that. Yeah, that was So like I said, I hadn't looked at these pictures in a little while, so it was really nice to put some of these together. Yeah, Herm, awards are important, right? So then you can't, without the pictures, that's important. So that more goes to show that it needs to be something that's kind of talked about and as early as possible, just trying to get people on board as much as possible. Eiffel Tower, obviously, probably a little bit hard to take a bad picture of the Eiffel Tower. It's so iconic. But how I approached this, I actually wanted to isolate it. So this is film, so this isn't edited or anything. So the sky was, I exposed this so that the sky would be completely white. And obviously I framed it so that it would be perfectly center. So, I mean, that one's kind of like, that one could be hanging in a museum for sure. That was very artistic. Yeah. And then the next ones, I have the, I don't know if you have any Chicago people in here, but like I mentioned, I lived in Chicago for 1 year. And Chicago, I mean, if you're an architect, Chicago is the dream. I mean, the honeycomb buildings, classic, same sort of idea as the Eiffel Tower. Let's isolate it. Let's emphasize just them, you know, because when things are so busy, how can we isolate something? Do you know what I mean? So that picture is actually, I don't know if there's any Wilco fans here, but there's an album cover that's very similar to that, which I didn't know until after I took the picture. The Chicago skyline. Another thing about architecture sometimes is timing. I'm not kidding, I waited 6 hours for that picture because I was with my friend and we were waiting for the sun to be at the perfect time for it to come just like that. And then the cloud was an absolute bonus. And I don't think I've ever seen a picture with the Hancock going through a cloud like that. So also filmed. So those have not been edited. And then we have, let's see what we got next. Yes, more Chicago. I live downtown Chicago, so I got to see all of this. I mean, look at the picture. Look at on the left, like super old with, sorry, that's probably not the wrong term for the all architects here. My mistake. Super old with a little bit not as old, right? And the kind of progression, you know, a little bit slicker, like straighter lines, a little bit taller. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then on the other side, then you almost see like the next step evolution of that. And that one, I mean, that's literally what it feels like looking up when you're downtown Chicago like that. And I wanted to capture exactly that. So I used a specific lens that's wider so I could kind of show that perspective of feeling tiny amongst these gigantic buildings. Love that picture as well. That's great. Let's see next.
Right.
Huh?
I love those two.
Yeah.
And the colors, they have something.
The colors.
Like,
so those, okay. So that wasn't film. So I did play around a little bit with the colors, which is also, I mean, that's also a part of it. You know, it's okay to take some liberties. Okay, more iconic buildings. New York, obviously, not photoshopped. And this is maybe kind of what we were talking about, finding some, like the diamond in the rough a little bit. Not that photographing these buildings, they're not rough at all, but I wanted to find a unique perspective. It's every person would go there and just take a picture of these buildings and that was it. So I happened to find an area where there was a reflection of a glass. So that's not Photoshop. That's actually a reflection off a window. And also the perspective of old and new always kind of gets to me.
I actually thought they were like two different pictures. Now that I understand that it's actually a reflection.
Yeah. So I kind of just and here a little bit too. Actually, these two. This is the Poetry Foundation. Once again, I don't know if any Chicago people here, but the Poetry Foundation in Chicago is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful building, and they hired me. They hired me one time to just shoot an event that they had there. but they sort of liked, they liked me, they talked to me, and they were so supportive of artists that they brought me back to take pictures of the space as an architecture project. And it was sort of the same thing. They came up to me being like, I know that you're not an architecture photographer, but we would love to see your take on this building. So they took me down there, and on the right, you can see, you know, a bit of reflection there, just finding interesting angles and lines, of course, but also motion and humanity is something that, you know, I mentioned already, like interactions, human interaction. It's like some of these spaces are meant to be used by humans. It's not meant to be empty. You know, I think that's also important to show. And then on the left, just, I mean, the glass facade, like look, the lines, you know, I could have used the filter to get rid of the reflections up top, where it makes an X, but I loved that because it's just accentuating all these different lines, and also the mixture of a little bit of greenery with glass and metal. Really, really an amazing place. I think on the next one, yeah, again, reflections. I mean, the infinity of this place, you know, like, again, humanity as well. This would have absolutely looked awesome as well without a person, but you know, adds a different element, you know.
I love it. Oh, and we have this one as well, and then we have a little video.
Yeah, so then that's the inside, and those are just sort of things that I, you know, lines, textures, balance, light and shadow, perspective. These are all things I'm sure out of an architecture textbook that photography would just sort of lend itself to, because that's what, I mean, when I go and take a picture of a place, I try to think like an architect. And, you know, maybe that's because I love architecture. I can try to think, okay, like what was okay, I see that there's a purpose here, or there was something that they didn't do here, or something that they mixed here. So I kind of try to think of all those things. And then we did do a video. I kind of put together just a little video just to also show that it's, even if you're not using people, even if you just have an empty space with a little bit of movement, and you can still kind of get a bit of a feel of a space. So I put together a little video from a project I did maybe 4 months ago.
All right, let's take a look.
Yeah. So maybe, is it better?
I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say maybe because it's a little bit laggy. I don't know if it's better. Are you playing it off the actual presentation, or?
Yes, but let's see if this works better.
Maybe a little bit better. So trying to show a little bit of movement. Obviously drone shots. How does it feel walking into the house? Revealing some interesting pieces, lines, like openness, warmth. Drones, of course, very important. So, you know, that house, for example, you know, that's, you know, not necessarily the Eiffel Tower. It's not necessarily the Guggenheim. Obviously, it's a very beautiful house, well designed, but I wanted to kind of find the interesting moments, the interesting pieces. You know, there's a chandelier that was very cool, and I know that was a statement piece. You know, obviously, you know, it's at the entrance. I wanted to get the feel of the wind. So I capture a lot of foliage and shadows moving, and the shadow and the curtains, to show sort of flow. And this house is up on the. There we go. Now, well, love it. This house is sort of up in the hills here in LA. I wanted to sort of show it's like breathy and the flow in it. So that was an interesting project with a friend that I've been working on. Yeah, it's nice over there. It was I think that they actually have a few properties, but what they do there is actually they rent a house out for photo shoots and productions. So this was part of a project where they just wanted to capture all their properties. Yeah.
Well, you did a great job there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I kind of want to hear, I don't know, people around, what you guys think, what you're taking from this webinar. It has definitely been one of my favorites so far, and we've done many, but I really, really liked it. So I want to know, I don't know, your opinion, guys, what you're taking out from here. For sure, you're taking, I don't know, Sam's contact, and if you guys are in LA or Chicago or around, you guys can, I don't know, call him, grab a coffee, talk about photography.
Please.
But,
Absolutely. I'm based in LA, but Chicago is sort of my second city. Funny because that's what Chicago is called, but it's actually my second city, and I'm there all the time. So please don't hesitate to connect on Instagram. You can email as well. So yeah, feel free to write anything down in the chat. I'll actually just go while I go over to my last thing, which was my takeaway. So not all content has to be perfect. Just because you wouldn't watch something doesn't mean everybody won't. And then the third one is that it takes a while and it takes consistency. So it's almost not a one video do all. It's like you have to just kind of keep going. The sooner you embrace it, and the sooner you just start having a continuous momentum of things appearing in people's radar, then the better. Alex, as always, love your work. You're the man. Alex lives in Miami. He's a great guy. I don't know if there's any Miami people here, but Alex is great. Take his name down if you need people in Miami too. He's yeah.
Thank you
great.
so much.
I always say, sorry,
amazing.
I always say this is a good space for networking and grabbing other people's contacts. So take Alex's, take Sam, Herm, Matt, everyone.
Great. Ivana, you love photography. This has been super inspiring. Great. I highly recommend you going and taking pictures. I mean, it's at this day and age, it's so easy, right? For pictures, the phone, sometimes it's not as good, but you absolutely should go out there and just keep taking pictures and be surrounded by that, and try to share that love of photography with clients and friends and coworkers and spread it, because that's great. So thank you. Okay, that was it. 1 hour, we did it.
That was it. We did it. I want to leave here Sam's contact, webpage, everything, so you guys can go check it out. Sam, it's been a pleasure doing this with you, and I want to thank everyone for participating. New clients or new people here, existing clients that have been to Structures of Success webinars. You guys are always welcome to come here, share this space with us, invite colleagues, anyone who you feel would be interested in this. It's a really good space that we enjoy having and hosting for you guys. So once again, it's been a pleasure, and I'm not even kidding. Like, this has been one of my favorites for sure.
I love that. You're so sweet. I love all you guys at WorldTeams. Thank you so much. I see some familiar names popping up in the chat there. Thanks to everybody. You guys rock. So please, like I said, I'm always open. I love talking. So hit me up, and thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, everyone.
Hello.
We'll see you. Bye.